morning. My name is Harold Lichtenstein, and I'm a Senior Vice President in our Business and Tax Services group at NEWITY. For those of you unfamiliar with NEWITY, our mission is to help small businesses access the capital they need. We do this by helping businesses secure affordable loans and identify and claim tax credits to which they are entitled, as well as by highlighting opportunities like the one we're here to discuss. We've also partnered with trusted service providers offering services such as accounting, marketing, insurance, and management consulting. Regarding the lawsuit, our goal this morning is to provide a little background on the Visa and Mastercard class action lawsuit and how you can claim your share of the settlement. The lawsuit focuses on interchange fees that were paid by businesses that accepted Visa or Mastercard branded credit or debit cards during the 15-year period from January 1st, 2004 to January 25th, 2019, and Visa's and Mastercard's rules that those businesses were required to operate under. Specifically, the lawsuit contends that merchants paid excessive fees to accept Visa and Mastercard cards because Visa and Mastercard set interchange fees and imposed and enforced rules limiting businesses from steering customers to other payment methods. This shielded Visa and Mastercard from competition, so interchange fees remained higher than they should have been. After 13 years of extensive litigation, both sides ultimately agreed to settle the case. Under the settlement, Visa and Mastercard and other bank defendants agreed to provide a fund of approximately $5.5 billion that will be used to pay a bunch of different things. First, class plaintiffs for their service on behalf of the class, all other eligible merchants, which is any business that accepted any payment on a Visa or Mastercard card that did not exclude themselves from the class. And, it also excludes some, entities related to the defendant banks and, entities such as that. Additionally, the funds will be used to pay attorneys' fees and expenses, settlement administrative costs, taxes on the settlement fund, and any other miscellaneous expenses. With that, I'll now turn it over to my colleague, Dane Colvin, who will discuss claiming your share of the settlement.
Awesome. Thanks, H. So yeah, as H said, my name is Dane Colvin. I'm an AVP here in NEWITY's Business and Tax Services group. I'm happy to be here to discuss some of the specifics about this Visa Mastercard settlement, and then specifically the claim form process and how do you claim your share of the settlement. So getting into it, how do I claim my share? In order to claim settlement funds, merchants need to file a valid approved claim form. And this is all done and facilitated through a class administrator. So their role is to facilitate submissions in the claim forms, and then additionally make sure valid claims are being submitted and approved for the settlement funds. One thing that we really want you to know is that you do not need to pay a third party to do this on your behalf. This is something that you can do directly, and you're entitled to ask questions to the class administrator or the class counsel free of charge. So while there may be third parties out there, this is something that as a merchant business you can do by yourself. So claim forms were mailed out by the class administrator in mid-December of last year, starting in mid-December of 2023 up until mid-January of this year. And you should have received it in the mail, basically stating that you're eligible for the claim, and then there would be some sort of estimate interchange fee amount on that. If you did not receive that, again, obviously mailings get lost or sent to old addresses. So we're here to tell you kind of how you can navigate through this process and submit even if you didn't receive the mailing. So specifically, how do I file my claim? There's a couple ways we alluded to. You can do it either online or by mail. If you did receive that mailer, you can scan the QR code that's specifically on the form and use that to log into the secured website and access your submission form. If you didn't, again, that's okay as well. You can visit the claim website at www.paymentcardsettlement.com and follow the instructions from there to submit. We do want you to be wary of possible imposter websites that are out there to collect, confidential information that's going to be used throughout this claim process. So be sure you are navigating directly to that www.paymentcardsettlement.com. And again, you can follow the directions from there. Like anything, there is a deadline to submit the claim forms, which is May 31st of 2024. So make sure you're going through this process and submitting by that date. And you can also do it by mail. So if you did receive the claim form in the mailer that was mailed out again in December or January earlier this year, you can fill out that form in its entirety. Make sure you're checking all the boxes and completing all the details that are necessary. And you can mail it to the PO box there or Payment Card Interchange Fee Settlement at the PO box in Portland, Oregon. And again, deadline for this is May 31st, 2024. So be sure it's postmarked by that date in order to be a valid claim. And then probably the preferred method here will be the filing online. So we wanted to quickly walk through that and how you can navigate the website. So again, going to the link or paymentcardsettlement.com, and you can click the actual submit a claim tile. If you did receive the mailer, you'll have a claimant ID and a control number listed on that mailer, and you can use that to start the login process and proceed into submitting a claim form. If you did not, you're able to put in the TIN for the business, and this will start the login process in order to go through the submission as well. So you'll have to input some requested information on the website, and then you'll have to wait for the class administrator to essentially approve the login and prove out that it's an authorized user that's able to have the capacity to act on behalf of the merchant business. And then specifically just looking at the claim form, there are questions on it. It's somewhat brief, but really what they want to know is the class period interchange fees paid. So if you're able to pull that amount or know that amount from any of your internal systems for that period of January 1st, 2004 to January 25th, 2019, you're asked to put that on this form. If you don't know, that's okay as well. You can check that I don't know box shown on the form. And the class administrator has a database that they can query based on the TIN to give you that estimated class period interchange fees paid. And then from there, you'll want to make sure you're including the merchant legal name, the address of the merchant, and then like I said before, an attestation that you're in a capacity to act on behalf of the business and authorized to do so. I'll pass it off to H to explain a little bit about what happens next.
Thanks, Dan. So once you've received your estimate from the class administrator, you review that estimate. If you agree with it, it's very easy from this point forward. But first I'll note, if you're online, you can click the hyperlink in which the estimated interchange fees are displayed. And that'll take you to another screen that includes additional detail on that estimate. You'll be able to see both the number and dollar value of Visa and Mastercard transactions that were used to calculate the amount of interchange fees. And the class administrator is preparing these estimates based on direct access to primarily Visa's transaction database, although there may be some access to MasterCards as well. So if you agree with this estimated amount, again, we're really easy from this point forward. If you're submitting online, you would just sign the submission electronically and click the submit button to send your claim form directly to the class administrator. If you're, filling out the form manually, you just sign the form, address it to the class administrator and drop it in the mail. Again, in either case, make sure you're doing this by the May 31st deadline, which, is just a couple months away. But what if you don't agree with the settlement amount? If you don't agree, you're gonna indicate that, and you'll need to provide documentation to support your revised estimate, as well as a detailed explanation of your calculation. If you're on the website, there's a button to click that's labeled other options, which will bring you to another screen that has several buttons to upload different types of documentation. And you'll upload your documentation in the corresponding section of that of that page. The documentation you may want to provide would be details of Visa and or MasterCard transaction volume, total sales volume through all payment sources, which the class administrator can use, along with some benchmark information based on your business type to, determine a reasonable estimate of Visa and MasterCard interchange fees. You may also provide your merchant default interchange rate if you know it, as well as indicating your merchant category code or providing a description of your business. Additionally, some things that might help the claim administrator locate your claim, locate your interchange fees in the Visa or MasterCard database would be things like your location address, the payment processor name, and a card acceptor identifier. Once you've provided any of this information you have, the class administrator will use it to supplement the information that they have from Visa and MasterCard's databases and update your calculation of interchange fees as appropriate. And with that, I'll turn it back to Dane to talk through finishing the process.
Thanks, Dave. So yeah, some of the the juicier questions here that unfortunately are somewhat vague at this point, but how much money will you get from filing a claim? So essentially, the amount paid will be based on your actual or estimated interchange Visa MasterCard interchange fees related to Visa MasterCard transactions for that time period of Jan 1, 2004 through January 25th, 2019. The portion that you would receive of the settlement payments is your pro rata share of the funds to be dispersed based on the interchange fee volume that the merchant business had compared to the total volume of all claims. So you can kind of think of it like a piece of the pie scenario, with that total volume of all claims being the full pie, and then the portion of the merchant business being the amount that they would receive. So it's somewhat undetermined at this point, but that's kind of the proportion of what you would receive through the settlement. And then if claimants are denied or disagree with the calculation of their claim, they can challenge in writing, basically via email or mail, to the class administrator within 30 days of that notice. And then looking at when will I get paid, again, just like the how much, it's somewhat of a vague answer at this point, but what we do know for sure is that payments cannot be made until after May 31st, 2024, which is the deadline to submit. And that kind of goes back to the pro rata portion. So in order to actually calculate the payments, all the claims need to be submitted and approved in order to do so and know the correct piece of the pie that needs to get paid out. So it's likely that it could be well after this date, and that's due to the class administrator having to go through approved claims and then resolve any disputes that come up throughout in order to get to that total pool to be paid out. And then one thing to note as well is if there is a balance remaining of the cash fund after eight months following the date of initial distribution, the funds will be repooled and redistributed above a minimum payment threshold. So basically that's saying that if you do go through this process and receive a check in the mail related to the settlement, that you should try and cash that within 8 months. Otherwise, it could get repooled and redispersed to those that did cash their checks. So with that, I know we've mentioned it a bunch throughout the webinar, but we really want to point you to the class administrator as you're entitled as a merchant business to lean on them essentially free of charge throughout this process. So we wanted to provide a full list of resources. Again, looking at the paymentcardsettlement.com as the website. And through the website, you can get to a lot of these additional resources and things that we've mentioned throughout the entirety of this webinar. We also wanted to note some class administrator contact information with their phone number if you want to write them either email or via mail and send something in. And then if you guys have issues with the class administrator, there is a designated class counsel appointed, and we also wanted to include their information as well from what we could find on the website for paymentcardsettlement.com. So I guess with that, this is kind of the wrap up of the webinar. We thank you very much for joining us, taking the time and joining us today. We hope this was useful and beneficial information for your business to navigate through this process. And we'll be sure to disperse the slide deck that we have and then any pertinent questions as well to the attendee list of this webinar and make it known and available to everybody. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.